not expecting me. First off, happy Friday to everyone. Surprise, surprise, your girl's back. Right, we got MJ in the background, and as you guys can see, I will be covering. Shots out to Jay first and foremost, because once again, Jay led me in the direction of following up on a 2006. Wasn't really an interview, but it was a speech that MJ gave, where he kind of really talked and got into it. Well, not got into it, but spoke about, his relationship with Sony and Tommy Matola specifically. But before I get into any of that, let me move my big head. MJ, where you go? Okay. Wait. Okay, there we go. Sorry. You guys know how I do. I got my little makeshift background. Okay, we're working with what we got. Well, first and foremost, for anyone who is new to this channel, welcome. TGIF, happy Friday. If you guys are watching me live, thank you so much for spending your Friday with me. But I did want to cover this. I missed you guys yesterday, but your girl is back nonetheless. But like I say, anyone who is new to the channel, first of all, welcome. I'm giving you the welcome hands. Okay, and you guys can hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. So anytime, hey there, what's up? It looks like Jay's in the house. So anytime you guys upload, so anytime I upload any new content, you guys will be the first to know. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button. And again, if you guys are not new to this, you all are true to this and joining me once again, welcome. Hey, much love. And so let's kind of dive into this. I hope it's not fuzzy on your end. It's a little fuzzy on my end. What's up, Jay? Yes. Thank you. Yes. All right. Okay. Jay said, let's tackle this. You know what? All right. And I'm not going to use any expletives. We are on, we are on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't play that. So I'm going to censor any, we're going to use, but yes. So I don't know if you heard it, Jay, but I was giving shots out to you for leading me into the direction of this, actually telling me to check out review. But it was such, and it still may be like a part 2 to this, because there's so much to this. It's like a little rabbit hole you go down. Once you start to really kind of, I hope my head is not, oh yeah, no worries. Thank you, Jay. Yep. Appreciate you so much. But yeah, it's just so much information, and like I say, one thing kind of leads to another, so it may very well be a part 2 to this. And I'm glad you are joining me live, Jay, because some of the information I found was a little conflicting, but overall it's the same narrative, it's the same story, but it's still like, some sources were a little bit conflicting. Yes, he did, and he actually did that more than once. In that particular speech, he went into it, where it had Reverend Al Sharpton and some other people, I guess, from the NAACP, looked like they were in attendance for that speech, and he talked about it. But there was also another speech that he gave that I should have wrote the details down too. But he really talked about his relationship, which at that time pretty much had dissolved. Like, from what I heard, he and Matola had been on bad terms for a while, and Tommy Matola was the president of the Sony music division. Very powerful man. But supposedly they had kind of been on bad terms for a while, but MJ at one point really did want out of his relationship with Sony. He did want to, they had an acquisition, ATV, with Sony, and there was a point where MJ wanted out of that, and that's when he was a lot more vocal about his relationship with Sony, which is interesting. Really contrasts a lot from like the way artists are now. There's a lot of artists that are not real businessmen and women, but they talk about how they're shot callers and whatever, they're business people. Not saying that there aren't artists that are that way. P Diddy or whatever supposedly does his thing, Jay-Z. But still, they boast about it. MJ did not really talk about how powerful, and also I want to spotlight that. I'm going to get into the details of this, but I want to spotlight. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And also, you guys who are not joining this live, make sure you all check out the comments that are in the live chat. It takes a little bit after the video is, it takes a little bit for it to process after, the video is uploaded. But the live chat should be made available. It's always really good information, and Jay, he holds it down. He always shares a lot of really, really good information for you guys to, further do your research, but a lot of good information is always shared in the chat, so I hope you guys check it out. But before I really kind of get into some of the details of this, I just want to say it's really fascinating because we do highlight MJ as an artist, and I think that there's probably nowhere on the globe where MJ is not like known or recognized. I've made, even in his passing, I've made some jokes, but it's true that, it doesn't matter where you go, what country, you could be in a cave somewhere, and I bet you if there's some people there, they know the name Michael Jackson, or even if they don't speak English, they know the lyrics in English to MJ songs. So very, very powerful artist, and very impactful, I think, on like music history. But what I think is really weird, and like I say, it's like a rabbit hole. I did not know. Yeah, so good, so true, right? You are so right, Jay. Right, aliens included, right? You could be wherever, and I bet you, if they know anything about Earthlings, they'll say Michael Jackson. I bet you they know about MJ. Okay, I'm sure of it. Good point, Jay. So funny. But yeah, I was just saying that I think that what is so, it's not sad, but it's just interesting. Like, well, it is sad a little bit. Why is it that most people don't know? I mean, like I say, toward the latter end is really when MJ really did become more vocal about his relationship with Sony, and we kind of got glimpses into him as like a businessman. But MJ, my God, MJ was no punk. So huge, impactful. He was making heavy money moves at a very, very early on in his career. So, I mean, it's a little controversy about the whole Beatles, Paul McCartney, whatever. In 1985 is when MJ acquired that ATV catalog, which contained Beatles music. And Jay, you could correct me if I'm getting anything wrong that you know differently. It contained Beatles music, and it also contained some other very powerful American artists' music as well. I think it had some copyrighted music, Elvis Presley music. Who else? It had some heavy hitters on there. I'm like, whoa. I think it had some Rolling Stones music on there, some Cher, Bruce Springsteen. Like, he acquired a very powerful catalog very early on in his career. 1985, he was still a PYT himself. He was still a pretty young thing himself when he was making these really heavy money moves. And what I think is so interesting about that is also kind of contrasts when him acquiring this catalog is also kind of around the time where he started to get a lot of negative press, because prior to that, he was America's, golden boy favorite. You know what I mean? Like, MJ. That's what it was. After that, after his acquisition of that catalog, then it was a lot of negative press. Simultaneously, I'm not, if you're someone who says, I'm not trying to make anybody's mind up, but I think it's awfully strange that after him acquiring such a powerful catalog, Akon, who was a friend of MJ, said that he felt that it wasn't until after MJ acquired that he started getting a lot of negative publicity. A lot of propaganda was thrown in MJ's direction. And he, like, in the words of Akon, and it was a Vlad VLAD TV, Vlad TV interview that Akon did, and he was saying that MJ, straight up, had acquired a lot of very powerful American music real estate. The problem with that, though, yep, you guys, make sure you guys read Jay's comments. In the live chat, very good point that he's making up. That he's making in this live chat. He says yes, that after the Victory Tour, it's pretty much a lot of bad press on MJ, intentionally bad era. That was media and music industry turned on him for the worse. Yet some good, but most of it was bad press, and I would have to agree. I would definitely have to agree. So yeah, that was, like I said, I'm not trying to make up anybody's mind for their, everybody kind of make up your mind for yourselves. I hope my big head is not blocking MJ. I would hate that it's blocking MJ and you can only see Matola, the whole thing. What I'm just saying. Okay. All right. But anyway, but yeah, so, but to go back to Akon, who was a good friend, and he also had a funny MJ story that I want to share with you guys. But Akon was saying that, MJ had acquired some, and it was, if I have to read off this list again, and this is not all of the artists that were on that catalog, but you get a feel for it. Okay, so he acquired a lot of the Beatles music. Okay, not all, but still a lot of the Beatles songs. He acquired that through this catalog. Elvis Presley, some of his copyrighted music was on that catalog. Bruce Springsteen, the Rolling Stones, Cher, it was a lot of them on there. And I think Eminem, I'm not sure if Eminem was part of that ATV or if he was Sony prior to, I'm not sure. But I know at least everybody up until I mentioned Eminem was on that ATV catalog, and many more artists that I'm not mentioning. So meanwhile, like I said, we know MJ as the Thriller, bad era and all that, which was definitely to be celebrated, because MJ, like I say, definitely a prodigy, and that's probably putting it minimally, but MJ definitely a prodigy when it comes to entertainment performance. But he was a hell of a businessman. Whoa, that's some shut up and sit down and be quiet and look like this for a minute. Somebody tell you that they just bought some stuff like that, that's where you shut up and you're quiet for a minute. That's not, Okay, so Jay was saying that he was part of that, as well as Eminem, lots of other artists. Yep. So Jay was saying that Eminem was actually on that catalog, part of the ATV music publishing thing. See? So you get a feel. So anytime these artists, made a song or their songs were played and whatnot, MJ, he was cut a check. So you get a feel. But he made these kind of money moves very early on. Now the backstory with that, like I say, some of the stuff is conflicting. I don't know. It'll probably have to be a part 2. And Jay, like I say, correct me if I'm getting some of this stuff wrong. Now there's some that say that, okay, Paul McCartney gave MJ advice. MJ made a lot of really good money, off of Thriller, clearly. And MJ being smart, because there's a lot of artists, although I don't even think that was an issue in terms of worrying about, but let's just put it into today's terms. Today you could have some one-hit wonder artists that make a lot of money off of their first album or single, and then you don't hear anything else about them afterwards. MJ, which I don't even think that was even a real concern or worry, but he was smart, and that he made so much money off of Thriller that he wanted to kind of figure out okay, how can I make this money? Here we go. You so silly. You silly, Jay. You so silly. You all can read Jay's comments. But I got to address this, because a lot of people will say, well, yeah, you didn't say how he got into, music publishing, acquiring music publishing rights or whatever. So I'm addressing this, but like I say, I got a lot of conflicting stories as I kind of did my little delving, my little digging into this, and it'll still probably have to be a part 2. I don't know. But so MJ being smart and wanting to really make his money invest, you know what I mean? Not just, okay, you have a big huge lump sum, but what do you do after that? and me talking about this also makes me think about like lottery winners that end up going broke, right? They won millions of dollars and then check in on them 10 years later, 5 years later, and they went broke. Okay, well, MJ, being young, being savvy, he wanted to know like, okay, well, what do I do? What's the next thing I should be investing in? Like him wanting to really grow his money, started to look into things like that. Now, I don't know what the approach was directly with Paul McCartney, who, as we know, collaborated with, MJ. We already know the story. I don't have to get real deep. But I don't know if it was him directly coming to him for like business advice or if that was just mentioned in passing. But supposedly, Paul McCartney of the Beatles gave MJ advice in terms of like it would be smart to get into music publishing rights, owning the rights to copyright, rights to a lot of music, like that's profitable. And okay, so this is where it kind of goes left, goes right. Now, supposedly MJ asked McCartney about the Beatles catalog. Okay. Yep, Jay was saying that is right. Okay, yep, okay. So he asked him about the Beatles catalog, and Paul McCartney said about how much that catalog would go for. Now, I've seen some interviews where McCartney said that MJ said, like, which to me, okay, well, he's telling him straight up, like, okay, I'm going to buy it. I'll give you a heads up. All's well in I guess in business. But he gave him a heads up. But I also heard like the way that McCartney kind of delivers it is like MJ acquiring that catalog was not how it should have gone. Like that was bogus. Like why did you do that? But then when you watch other further interviews of McCartney, he says how it was going for more than what he could afford to purchase the stuff for. So basically it would have either have gone to the banks or it would have gone to MJ. You know what I mean? Or someone, another mogul or something like that could afford to purchase it at that price. Now, I don't know, like I say, it gets a little cloudy for me because supposedly a lot of those songs, those Beatles songs John Lennon had wrote, and Paul McCartney wanted Yoko Ono, who was, John Lennon's, widowed wife, to go in with him to purchase those songs, like go in half. That supposedly it was supposed to go for 20 million. He was supposed to put in 10. She was supposed to put in 10, but it wound up going for a lot more than that. Now, I heard that MJ had his lawyers or I don't know, he had one of his businessmen or whatever to call Yoko, or maybe he called Yoko himself. I don't know. Okay, so Jay say so far so right. So far, okay. Thanks, Jay. Because like I said, I read a lot of conflicting stuff, saw conflicting stuff where I'm like, well, how could that be if that, I don't know. But, so basically, so to go back, so MJ had one of his businessmen, or MJ might have made the call himself. I don't know, because I got different stories. But basically, Yoko Ono was contacted. MJ did not want to bid against. He didn't want to go into a bidding war with McCartney. He did not want to go into a bidding war with Yoko Ono. And he wanted to know, would they be bidding on it? And Yoko Ono said, no, she was not going to bid on it. And then from there, McCartney was contacted, but supposedly McCartney didn't pick, he had his lawyer to look. I don't know if McCartney was spoken to directly or if he had his lawyer or somebody like that to answer the call, but basically it was confirmed that McCartney was not going to bid on it. And supposedly Yoko Ono had given MJ, she had given him, what am I trying to say? Not her rights. What am I trying to say? Had given her okay, right? Okay, so I have to check that out. Also, like I say, you guys, good information is shared in the live chat. Okay, so you're saying that John Branca explained it in a YouTube. Okay, so I have to check that out. Because to me, like I say, it kind of gets into the weeds a bit, so I don't know. But overall, the gist of it is that McCartney and Yoko were not willing to pay that amount, that it was more than what they could either afford or were willing to pay for that catalog. MJ had already ran it by Yoko Ono, who said she was not going to be bidding on it because he didn't. The reason why he ran it by Yoko Ono and McCartney was because he didn't want to get into a bidding war with them. Which I'm guessing if they said they were going to bid for it, then he was going to, respectfully step down from it, even though he's wanting to get more business savvy in the music industry. Yep. So Jay was saying that, yep, it was too pricey for them. So from there, but then, like I say, some contrasting things, because of the way McCartney delivers it, it was like a stab in the back. I told him about it, and he said, I'm gonna buy yours, and he bought it. Like, okay, it either would have went to MJ or it would have went to the banks. You know what I mean? Or if not the bank, another mogul that was up against him in the bidding war, which I think what's the guy from Virgin Records? Him and some other big heavy hitters were also bidding against MJ for that. But even still, like MJ, he won, but I think it still took like a couple of years, or at least a year, for everything to kind of like settle legally for MJ to acquire it. But like I say, ironically, oh really? Okay, so you guys, like I say, read the comments. You say MJ was willing to give Paul McCartney his songs back, and Paul was too salty and was fine. Oh really? And I believe that. MJ was such a humanitarian. And so like, I believe that. So Jay was saying that MJ was willing to actually give Paul McCartney back a lot of those songs, but Paul McCartney was too salty at that time and too proud to take it. Friends with her son Sean. Wait, I'm sorry, you said wait. He was still cordial and great to MJ for years to come, and friends with her son. Okay, so Yoko was cool. Yeah, so Yoko was cool with it. Paul McCartney just too salty, which really doesn't make sense unless he was saving up for it, or I don't know. But like, if you can't afford to get something, if you're friends with somebody and you can't afford to purchase something, even if you told your friend about it, it's like either your friend can have it or somebody off the streets can have it. If that's really your friend, why would you not want your friend to have it? I'm just curious, just saying. Let me get my big head out the way from MJ. But I'm just saying, think about that. I'm just saying, okay. But I think it's very ironic that prior to MJ's, acquiring that, right after that, from the Bad album on, you start getting more and more negative press around MJ. And to kind of circle back to Akon made some very powerful statements, which I might put up later. Yeah, it did seem that way, right? Like Jay saying that it was almost like he was looking for an excuse, Paul McCartney, like an excuse not to be friends with MJ anymore. Yep. And just to throw him underneath the bus. Again, more negative press. And I do believe, I'll do more research, but I do believe the statement about MJ probably even offering Paul McCartney back, Paul McCartney back, some of those songs. I believe it, because MJ was just like that, even after the Pepsi fire, that commercial, the money that he got from that settlement, he donated it all entirely to the burn center that he was treated at. You know what I mean? Like, MJ was just that kind of dude. So I believe it. But yeah, okay. So let me go back to I'm all over the place, you guys. I'm here, I'm there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so to get back to it a little bit, I just wanted to say Akon, he made some very powerful statements, and that he was saying like MJ acquired some very heavy hitter American music real estate. Like, we're not talking no small time, like that's, and the issue that kind of ensued that was that not only had MJ from, guy from Indiana, Gary, Indiana, I'm taking it back to the roots, African American from Gary, Indiana, had acquired this. I'm gonna check out your comment in 1 second, Jay. But the issue that ensued it was that he was not giving anyone, he was holding it and he was not giving it back. Like, he was holding it without even giving them the option to buy it back at a later date, without giving them the option to, buy him out. Like, MJ understood power and he was not giving that up, which, I mean, that's heavy hitter. And he was so young too. It was PYT. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, I missed the first statement, so let me go back. MJ was first informed that the ATV catalog was up for sale in September. Okay, so Jay is putting some real facts into the live chat. I highly suggest you guys, if you guys are watching this, you guys are, interested in this, this topic, which is just, whoa. Please read these comments. Jay has given a lot of good information, a lot of good facts in the live chat that I'm reading right now. MJ was first informed that the ATV catalog was up for sale in September of 1984 by his attorney, John Branca, who had put together Jackson's earlier catalog acquisitions. That's really cool. Okay. Warned of the competition he would be faced by buying such popular songs, Jackson remained resolute in his decision to purchase them. Branca approached McCartney's attorney to query whether the Beatles was planning to bid. The attorney stated that it wasn't and it was too pricey. See? So there we go. So that backs up the fact that Paul McCartney was stepping back because it was, that was too much. And I think I saw something where Paul McCartney had made some statement in an interview saying that, yes, too pricey. And then on top of that, like, some of it, like some, I guess too, that's what it sounds like. Even the portion, Jay, you saying that Paul McCartney being offered his songs back and still not taking it, to me, it sounded like a lot of ego and pride and whatnot. But supposedly, like I said, the interview that I saw, McCartney also felt like, too, just the principle of the fact, like, you're having to pay all this money back, for your own stuff. But yeah, so Jay is confirming that Paul McCartney wasn't even going to bid on it. He might have given MJ the heads up about, like, this is the direction to go, but just threw him under the bus at a later date, like, as though he was somehow ripped off. So that's crazy. That's so crazy. Also, Yoko Ono, who had been contacted as well, but also did not. And also that, so Jay is also throwing in there that Yoko, too, had been contacted, and she also confirmed, like, I'm not going to bid on it. So you guys tell me, so should MJ not have bid on, like, I don't get it. You guys tell me, I'm not saying you're right, you're wrong, but to me that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would he not? He was in the position to do that, to make that money move. Why not? And if Paul McCartney was really his friend, why would Paul McCartney have had a problem with that? Because, there's, without a doubt, somebody was going to purchase it. So if you're friends of MJ, why would you not want him to be the one to bid? Just saying. But like I said, so many layers to this, you guys. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, so MJ, and like I say, it's what I read, and Jay, you can correct me. MJ was approached by Sony to come together for them to make a what is the word? I'm tired, you guys. What's the word? When two come together, to merge. That's the word. Oh, I'm a hot mess, but it's all good. So MJ was approached for a deal for a merger between Sony and ATV, which that acquisition did happen. Okay, so MJ wound up, which made it even more powerful, right? Because he already has heavy hitters on his catalog. Sony has heavy hitters on theirs. They come together. I mean, man, like, they're the #1 publishing company, if I'm not mistaken, one of the biggest music publishing, companies in the world. Very extremely powerful. Exactly. That's what I think, Jay. Yep. I agree. 100%. Yes, Jay, you're right on point. Yep. Doesn't even make sense. But yeah, so they wound up making that merger, but like I say, at the same time, you guys, we're steadily hearing a lot of negative press. A lot of negative press. Like I say, we're not even, or at least I did. Now, maybe, I'm sure some of you guys may have known about this stuff back in the day about the merger and that when MJ acquired the ATV catalog and his merger with Sony. Maybe some of you guys, have done your research and knew this back in the day when this stuff happened. But for the most part, like I say, especially with limited channels, media options, I don't, that's some stuff that I don't think was highly covered. It really wasn't. And MJ was not, he was quite modest. He wasn't like a lot of these boastful artists today that'll say like, I make money moves and have a cigar, like I'm a businessman. Like, he didn't do that kind of stuff. Yes, so true. Yeah, I can't wait till you get into MJ's speech. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know, but it was a lot. But you know what, Jay? That speech that he made, there was another speech that he made. Damn it, and I should have wrote it down because I kind of waited on it because I thought those two speeches together. But I'm going to get into it. But yeah, so I'm all over the place. You guys. But yeah, I just think it's really fascinating that back in the day, and like I say, limited press coverage, and that's too what made media so incredibly powerful back then, was because the limited number of media outlets, channels that people had to really kind of tune into when they wanted to know what was going on. Whatever, like I say, tagline, a tabloid, or whoever wants to put whatever across the cover, then that's initially what people take in. And there aren't too many competing media outlets that aren't under the same umbrella, probably of the same media company, that people have access to. But I do not recall, I heard a lot of negative press. There was a lot of negative press covered for MJ, but at the same time, there was not too much talk about MJ as a businessman and just what a powerful position MJ held in the music industry at the time when all of this controversy was happening and was surrounding him. So to get more into the speech, the speech that MJ gave was more toward the latter half when he was ready to dissolve his relationship with Sony. MJ had made a speech that you guys can look up. Jay called you MJ. That Jay had given. It was a 2006. He had wrote this in the live chat, and I think I pinned it as a comment in the previous live video. But you guys can check out that speech yourselves. It was 2006 when MJ made that speech, and he made it at the headquarters of NAN. It was oh yeah, good. I'm glad. Yes, he did go off. MJ did go off. If you guys watch that clip, there are other speakers, but when MJ does speak, he goes quite straight ahead. He says how he feels about it. He did talk about Tommy Matola. In MJ's words, he did call Tommy Matola the devil, and which I think now there's a lot of coverage where people really are kind of learning the ins and outs of the music industry and how it's not all, positive. But he did call Tommy Matola the devil. He did make some heavy hitter statements about how he felt Sony treated their artists, especially black artists, and how a lot of those artists their music was sabotaged by the industry itself. Now, that's kind of, if you think about it, just okay on the surface, that doesn't make sense. Like if an artist is under the umbrella of whatever music company, why would that music company not want that artist to do well? Okay, well, to get into the music business portion, and not to say I know a whole lot about music business, because I don't, but what I do understand, and like I said, this will have to be probably a part 2 to this video, and Jay, back me up if I get anything wrong, but a lot of times artists, especially new artists, when they're scouted or whatever, or they're signed on, they're given a bonus, an upfront bonus, like saying, social campaign. Right, exactly. So that gets into that too. Right? You guys, like I say, read the comments. Did I go out of it? Definitely do read the comments, you guys. And we're going to get into that too, about MJ's 2001 album Invincible, and how that was sabotaged in a lot of ways, the success of it, and feel how you want to feel, but you tell me what you guys think about that. I'm just saying. But let me back up a little bit. For those of you all who, like, on the surface, who say, like, okay, it doesn't make sense. Why would a music company want to sabotage its artist? If a music company signs on an artist, and they should want that artist to do well, because when that artist does well, they do well. Okay, well, let's back it up a little bit. A lot of times when artists are signed, right, they're what do they say, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, right? They're new to this, very new. But a lot of them, and they are thirsty, right? Because you're stepping in, and then people want to give you whatever, $1 million sign-on bonuses, 100,000, whatever that amount is. So basically, the industry fronts you. It's just like getting into a bad credit deal, or a payday loan or something like that, where you're stuck and you're steadily in the hole. Well, anyway, when artists a lot of times sign on, they're given these sign-on bonuses, these upfront bonuses. And so you see them in these fancy cars. I'm going to check out your comment in 1 second, Jay. You see them in these fancy cars. You see them, looking like they're glamorous. Ooh, so-and-so got signed. They're doing so. Well, a lot of that is money that they on paper have not made yet. So they get these sign-on bonuses. That money is spent. So they become indebted to these music companies. I remember my mom saying something about how Frank Sinatra had made a statement back in the day that he was saying that for him, true freedom was for him not, he was so happy when he was finally able to sign himself out of debt from his music, whatever music company he was signed to. He was so happy when he was able to sign himself, finally pay off his debt with that music company. So a lot of, let me go back to the comments. I feel like I missed your comments, Jay. Okay, wait, did I miss the top? Oh yeah, no, I saw that one. So wait, this is still very successful. Less than selling. Yeah, it was still successful. It just didn't, maybe make as much. Okay, wait, literally, wait. I'm blind. Okay, wait. Less selling albums most artists would die for, literally. Luckily, Invincible is getting in reinsurance on TikTok in today's generation. Yeah, I do. I think that a lot of, like you mentioned, TikTok, a lot of this stuff is given like a second life through other platforms that are kind of, which is why it didn't sell well. So, yeah. So Jay, like I say, read Jay's comments, but that too, like I say, this is a rabbit hole, and the more I began to dig, you guys, I was Alice in Wonderland, looking through the looking glass. I mean, it's a lot. And it's so crazy because, like I said, we knew that, especially after the Bad era, and that gap between MJ's Thriller album and the Bad album, heck, that little gap of time, which is a nice amount of time for an artist to be off, but that's when he acquired the catalog, you guys. That's when MJ had acquired, let me get my big head out the way for a second. But that's when MJ had acquired that ATV catalog, which is just like, whoa. So he was, off the scene, but he was making money moves. And truth be told, the amount of money that I'm sure he would make off of royalty checks alone, he probably didn't even have to keep performing like what he was doing, truth be, but I think MJ held on to it like just like how people do with homes, you know what I mean? Like, that is your collateral. That's a nice you know, music could go however, but you know what you're really worth. You have that as a backup collateral. Heaven Can't Wait literally is right in the charts. Oh, is it? I didn't know that. That's one of my favorite songs. Yep, sure did. Okay. All right. So Jay said, yep. So he says, I'm right about during that period of time is when MJ acquired that ATV catalog. And I'm glad to hear, though, that his songs are trending on TikTok. And oh, yeah, I forgot to do my spiel, you guys. For those of you guys who listen to 5 minutes of this and click off, I forgot to tell you guys to support me on other platforms. You guys can check me out also on TikTok as well under Lilah Michelle. At the end, Jay already knows I do my little pivot. I do my little pivot around, and I usually pull it up for you guys just so you guys can see it. Not that you guys necessarily need that tutorial walkthrough. You know, me saying check me out as Lilah Michelle on TikTok should be enough. But if not, it's all good. But on that, I do have a lot of MJ content. I also cover other artists. Like I call myself a celebrity entertainment content creator. And that is, like I always say, not to sound so over the top, it's just because I literally do cover celebrity and entertainment themed content. But because MJ has my heart, a lot of other content still somehow in one way, shape, or form loops back to MJ. And of course, you guys know the MJ content here on YouTube. But you guys can check me out on Instagram as well. I'm still got to kind of, you know, get that together, get that going. But yeah, check me out. It's I am Lilah Michelle on Instagram. And then you guys can also check out my website, which is lilahmichelle.com. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, back to it. So what was I saying? Yeah, so I was just saying that, you know, in that period of time, like MJ, he was making some money moves. Like he wasn't just sitting back, twiddling his thumbs or just over stressing out about like his next album because Thriller was so mega that he was taking so much time that he couldn't, you know, put together that. No, it was just because he was making money moves that, truth be told, probably would have, I'm gonna check out your comment in 1 second, probably would have been enough to, I want to be the best Invincible album. Hey there, shouts out to Archangel Raphael. Hey Archangel Raphael. And I love your YouTube name too, that's very cool. When he acquired it and he was ahead of his time. Yep, I agree, Jay. Yep. And what was I going to say? I was just saying that, like, think about it. Like, you acquire something that is that valuable, meaning that every time those artists who were very popular artists made music or their music was being used in a commercial or whatever, like, he was getting a check cut. Technically, that could have been enough for MJ just to say, like, I'm good. Like, I made a huge, like, money move purchase. Like, I don't even have to really make any more albums like that if I want, you know. But, you know, MJ is MJ. Yes, so true. Yep, just like what Jay just said. MJ didn't have to perform again after 1984. Yep, so true. He really didn't. But he is so phenomenal. I'm so glad that he did because he's such a prodigy. And, like, it's just like I say, again, I get kind of irritated when people want to compare contemporary artists against MJ. Not that there won't eventually in the next 50 years, 100 years be somebody that comes out just, but MJ was so original. Like, not only was he extremely talented, but like, he wasn't necessarily, you know, not that he wasn't inspired by James Brown, but like his style, his dance moves, his music, everything was just so incredibly original and new, and that's why people just like ate it up globally because he was just so different. Upon his biopic, yeah, I'm looking forward to the biopic. Coming between, he's making Savvy. Yep, I hope and I'm thinking because his family does have something to do with the making of that. I'm hoping the you know, MJ estate, I'm hoping that is included, just those heavy money moves that he was making. But so, but yeah, to go back to the speech, and I'm still probably missing a lot of stuff, leaving some stuff out, because like I say, this was a rabbit hole, y'all. Your girl, I was digging. This was a rabbit hole. Yep, I agree, Archangel Raphael. Yep, said that's the truth. Such a rabbit hole. But just to kind of double back to that speech and how I was explaining, like, not that I'm like an expert on the music industry, but this is like my understanding overall of the music industry is that it's just like, being indebted by, some type of like payday loan or just a credit card with like, really bad APR, like where you could never quite get out of that hole. And a lot of artists, they say very rarely do artists like own the rights to their own music. Very rarely do, like it's once they're in there, and I'm not saying that they're not living good lives or don't have mansions and this and that and whatever, but like a lot of them are indebted to the music companies that they have signed with, and they need another hit album, or they have to tour, they have to do something to generate income to pay on that debt that they owe. As a matter of fact, what's his name? LL Cool J, you guys, had made a speech. It's an older speech, but he had made a speech where he was saying that at a time where people thought that he was doing so well, he actually was not. He said that he had the cars and he had the home and he had all this stuff that on the surface level looked like he was doing so well, but he said that it's not so much about how much you make, it's about how much you get to keep. And basically just saying like he was making all that money, but he, on the surface level, it looked like he was doing very well, but he was so indebted. But yeah, that's like an old LL Cool J speech or whatever, but a lot of that. Hold on one second, you guys, because I am live. I'm live! Okay. So I'm live. You guys get to get all this action. But anyway, so to double back and like how Jay was bringing up about that 2001 Invincible album. I don't know about this. Gotta be an MJ fanatic like me or... Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm glad that you do go down the road. And like I say, it was too, that's why I kind of held off, because I knew I wanted to cover this. Believe it or not, I had kind of did my little digging yesterday. But it was so much, and I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow, I'll go and I'll look into this a little. But it was more, and it just left more and more and more and more. Like, this goes deep, y'all. And I'm, for those of you all that are like, conspiracy theories, whatever, I'm not into, okay, well, whatever. But I just say, do your fact checking. And when you do your, kind of check your facts, then a lot of this, like I say, it's a rabbit hole. And two, just to throw this out here, which I thought was so crazy. Did you guys know? I mean, we know that they say 2008, 2009, MJ was, but we're not going to talk about the catalog and his ownership in Sony ATV, because that in and of itself was quite lucrative, but he was holding on to it. He was holding on to that. Did you guys know? Did he? Okay, I got to check out Dick Gregory, you guys. But when MJ did the This Is It, now this is what is actually was in the contract that MJ signed. Now I don't know, because when you do contracts, you could 20, 50 page contract, and most people, even nowadays, like with DocuSign, people just go real quick and then they want to hit to sign, to auto sign or whatever. Now in the This Is It contract that MJ did, supposedly his portion of ATV, Sony ATV, was put up as collateral because in 2008, 2009, financially, at least surface level, MJ was bankrupt. He didn't have it. So that was put up as collateral for the shows that he had coming up. And that if he did not perform these shows, because we know that every last show MJ did was quite lucrative. Millions of dollars were generated from a single show. That was somehow put up as collateral, which I think is very weird. And I still want to go a little bit deeper with that, a little further with that, because I'm like, that is what? So like that was put up as a collateral for if he did not perform a show, if he did not show up, if he canceled the show or whatever, his ownership or what he owned. No. Well, I know this. I know that the smear campaign that was done on MJ in 2003, he paid a lot of money in court costs to beat that off. You know what I mean? Like MJ was continuously, after his acquisition of the ATV catalog, he was steadily hit with a lot of a lot of allegations, a lot of stuff that he had to pay lawyers. Now, supposedly, this is what they say, that between 2008, 2009, that he didn't have it, and that's part of why he agreed to do This Is It concert, because we know MJ was not, he didn't like to tour. At least that's what, the clip that I saw, that MJ said that he was not a big fan of it. He loved his fans, but just how stressful the whole touring process was on his body and all that, just like he just was not into it. But he did have the This Is It concerts that were coming up that were expected to generate a lot of money. And I'm not saying bankrupt to be disrespectful or anything like that, because technically you can never ever be bankrupt if you own the freaking ATV. You're part of, you own 50% share in a huge mega corporation like what they had together as a music publishing. It's just that MJ was very smart and he knew how powerful that was, and he was not selling it off, which is what they wanted him to do. So when they are smearing his name and making it hard for his albums to sell here in the US, then I guess they're expecting him to sell off small portions, sell off to get himself financially straight and stable. But MJ's name alone, I'm gonna check out your comment in 1 second, Jay. MJ's name alone is enough to generate income, and he was aware of that, and he knew all it would take is an album or a show or something like that, because I think they said around that time he was about like $300 million in debt, which to the average Joe or Joanne, that sounds just astronomical. But when you generate the kind of money income that MJ did, that 300 million might have been like 300,000 to us, or I don't know, but it wasn't something that he couldn't get out of. It's just that had lawsuits against him, like most famous people, hit with false accusations and continuously getting. Yeah, exactly. And that was, I'm not trying to influence anybody, but I'm just saying, y'all do your research. I think it's awfully interesting that he was hit, he was sued. It was all these allegations, all these different things right after his acquisition of that. So even when I say bankrupt, it does, like, if truth be told, if you own that kind of value, it would just be like somebody owns the freaking, I don't know, some huge whatever colossal diamond, and you want to say that person is broke. Maybe they no longer have the cash to spend, but how could you ever go broke when you have something like that? I'm just saying in general. Which he was smart savvy businessman, and he was holding on to that. Sorry, you guys, I gotta go like this because of the light. Where did I leave off? Sued. Wait, I know you were just explaining. Trust me. Oh man, I won't come in. That's one. I sound so funny. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm like this. Okay, but anyway, misconceptions when it comes to MJ. Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, when you're saying that, and I appreciate you making that clear, Jay. But I'm just saying, like, just like the statement that LL Cool J made. LL Cool J, like I said, he made a statement, probably might have been around 2001, 2002, but he was talking about his financial state and how a lot of people did not believe that, because, he was living so well. He had a TV show. He had this, he had that. But it's a lot of times people say you could be, it's about what you have liquid. You know what I mean? Like you could hold a lot of valuable whatever, that if once you cash that out, then you suddenly have the liquid cash. But so I'm not, for you guys that are checking this out, I'm not saying bankrupt in any way to be disrespectful on MJ's name. Huge fan, love MJ very much. I'm just saying that all of him being hit by all of these different outside forces and allegations and this and that, he was constantly, even when it wasn't publicized, paying, not because he was guilty of anything, but a lot of stuff, paying his lawyer to, this lot of stuff. So it's just ridiculous. But yeah. Well, I'll have to check out that Dick Gregory. Yeah, but even MJ broke is probably like even if that was a true, you know, even that's quite relative. You know what I mean? To me, if someone, you know, let's just say this. I'm going to give an example, and this is my example because, like I say, this is my opinion, just my, you know, somebody is living out of their, you know, somebody mega talented, and for a period of time they're living out of their Maserati, okay? And in their Maserati they have a diamond, they have this, they have that. Could that person ever really, can you really look at that person and say, oh, they're broke because they live? No, they have all this valuable things that MJ consciously, purposely chose not to cash out on. But he was continuously, I feel, put into positions to potentially sell off, which he was not doing. But I do want to check out that Dick Gregory because I like Dick Gregory and I'm interested in hearing that because I didn't know that. I believe it. Yep. He was playing tons simply because the truth that anyone randomly consider the reason why I just sound like. Jay makes an excellent point, and I hope that you guys check it out. Jay actually makes an excellent point that because, you know, for the naysayers that are like, oh, well, why was he settling? He shouldn't have, you know, like, no, like, as you all see with the 2003 that lasted all the way up into 2005 court case, you know, all these different, what's the word, Jay? Charges, all these, I'm sorry, it's like small words. I'm having all these mind farts, but all these charges against him, MJ beat every last single one of them. It was found to have no grounds, no nothing. But look at how much money he had to spend, you know, in the interim of 2 years time just for people to finally come to the conclusion, the true conclusion, okay, this is baseless. You know what I mean? So a lot of times MJ was spending a lot of money when he did, you know, to settle things out of court, not because he was guilty, not because of any of that stuff. It was just because, you know, why trail something out and spend all, you know, but anyway, okay, I digress. I digress a bit, you guys. But okay, so there's that. But yeah, you guys, so I thought that was really interesting. Isn't that kind of creepy a little bit? That, like I say, MJ, when he did the This Is It tour, when the rehearsals for all that or whatever, but in that contract, his portion of Sony ATV was put up as collateral in case he did not perform a show. So if he were not to perform, then that would, you know, could be used, portions of that could be used, liquid to settle the money that should have been generated from a missed show. So we know how that went. You know, I'm just saying, I think that's awfully, awfully strange. And I'm wondering, like I say, I want to do more looking into it. But I can't, like, why would MJ even sign something like that? And I'm thinking, I don't know how much he trusted his lawyers or whatever, because sometimes, you know, maybe they had a relationship, or maybe MJ took the time to read it and that was the only way to do it. I don't know, but I'm like, that's just saying, y'all. Him paying simply because the truth can randomly. So true, so true. Yep, so true. Even now, like, I think it's sad because even with this biopic coming up, at least the conventional press, you know, we're talking about the Washington Post, the whatever, all these different whatever, Huffington Post, whatever. A lot of them are still only covering the perspective or the feelings of the director Dan Reed, you know, still putting, basically I'm just saying, still a lot of negative press is still put out. But anyway, yes, so after MJ died in 2009, as we know, after MJ passed, then Sony, years later, 2016, did acquire MJ's portion. And they acquired it for like $750 million. So, and then I saw an interview with Matola that he did with Good Morning America, and he was asked, I forgot the guy's name. And it was really weird because that was the same like announcer guy who I think had allegations brought up against him, and they actually took him off of Good Morning America. But anyway, he had asked Tommy Matola about who, like, so when these, because Matola was on there for MJ's unreleased music, and I guess how we know, okay, albums later, that AEG contract was very strange. Okay, was that the name of the contract? AEG. Okay, yep. Thomas Sure, I think. Everybody knows Lilah. Fans MJ till the very. Okay, yeah, you guys, like I say, read the comments. Jay is hitting you guys with a lot of facts. A lot of good information, and Jay is putting into the live chat. So if you guys are watching this when it's not so live, please do check it out. But yeah, Jay was also just saying about how strange that whole contract situation was. But to go loop back before I forget, to loop back to the Matola interview on Good Morning America. So for MJ's unreleased music, because MJ had actually said before, and that's covered, you guys could probably see where MJ said that for every album, he would write like 120 songs. Okay, he didn't like trash every song. That a lot of that stuff was kept. He held on to that music, so he had a lot of music still. Wait. I'm sorry, I missed your stuff, Jay. That was MJ's lawyer, Tom. This is in 2000. Oh, okay, that's who that is. Yep. Yeah, oh man, I had wrote down something that his lawyer. Because he was great. Dang it. That'll have to be for a part 2 because I had wrote down. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, you guys, please read Jay's comments. But yeah, his lawyer was phenomenal. And made a lot of good points that, thankfully upheld MJ. What was the point I was making? I digress a little bit, you guys. What was the point? Jay, what was I saying? I was saying about, okay. Back to the Good Morning America stuff. So Matola was on there to I guess promote, I guess is the word, promote MJ's unreleased music or whatever, and the reporter, or not, he wasn't a reporter, journalist, had asked Matola, so who is actually profiting from this music, MJ's music? Is it the MJ estate or is it Sony? And Matola kind of looked, and Matola was like, well, it would be Sony. And then it was weird because then the journalist had asked him the same thing again. And he said, so it's not the MJ estate? And he was like, no, it's Sony. And then the guy, he left it alone. I forgot the guy's name, but he was one of those Good Morning America announcers that, I don't know if it was like a sexual, what do you call it, sexual harassment, something that was put against him, and you didn't see him on there anymore. But he was like the face of Good Morning America at one point. Yep. But he was like the face of Good Morning America. But he, not that he was going real hard on Matola at all, but he was asking some pretty good questions. Like, okay, this is MJ's. And I'm sure him being a journalist, I'm sure he did his digging, and he saw that, I'm sure he knew MJ's feelings about Sony and his feelings about Matola and all of that. So he was just asking who was going to profit from this unreleased music that was, clearly released after MJ's death, and Matola said it would be Sony. Sway in the morning. Question about the MJ situation. Well, that Tommy made the whole deal situation about MJ seems cordial, and that MJ was just going through growing pains. Yeah, he did. He even spoke highly. Matola spoke highly of MJ on Good Morning America. But and you guys, like I say, you guys can do your own digging. MJ was very clear. Supposedly, that's why MJ wanted out of Sony, because he did realize or he, how he felt that a lot of artists were sabotaged, meaning they were stuck in that contract, indebted in that contract, and he felt especially a lot of black artists were specifically. That was MJ's feelings, and he became very vocal. Whereas in his earlier years, you really didn't know about MJ's ownership. You didn't know any of that stuff. And he became more vocal toward the latter half about wanting out of Sony and more, and how he felt about Tommy Matola and all that stuff. But yeah, you guys, like I say, this rabbit hole goes deep, and I would want to do a little bit more digging. But just saying, MJ was making some money moves. Oh, let me share one funny story with you guys before we end this. I really appreciate you, Jay, Archangel Raphael. I love the name, for joining me in this live. Really appreciate it. I know I'm random. Thanks, you guys, for spending Friday night with me. So cool. But I just want to back it up to an Akon story, which I thought was just hilarious. Okay, so Akon, he was giving his thoughts and his feelings around MJ, and he was saying, I already said what he said, that MJ had bought up a lot of very valuable American music real estate, and the issue was that MJ was holding on to it, and he was not giving it back. He was not allowing them the option to buy it back. And like Akon was saying, at some point they're gonna want some level of control over that, and MJ was not giving in. Like he made some money moves, and he was holding back, fight gangster. So it was like, whoa. But anyway, a funny story, Akon was just saying that, MJ was known to wear a lot of disguises, that MJ could be standing right next to you, you wouldn't even know, because he came, wearing a full, just didn't know it was him. And he was saying how once he and MJ went to the movies, they went out, and he said he was looking around because he was worried. He wasn't worried about himself, and he said this was kind of like at the height of his own notoriety. But he wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about somebody recognizing MJ. And he said they were somewhere where they were getting ready to get on the elevator or something, but a group of girls ran over, and they're like, oh, Akon, hey, can we get a picture with you? And MJ was laughing, and MJ took the picture of the girls with Akon. They didn't even know it was MJ. And then Akon said that after that, a group of kids passed by, and MJ had told the kids, hey guys, there's Akon. And Akon said he was laughing so hard, and he told MJ, if you don't stop it, I'm gonna give you up. I'm gonna give up your let people know it's really you. But MJ was taking pictures left and right of fans with Akon, and people didn't even know that was MJ. And I just thought that was so hilarious. And so come on, you guys, how cool is that? Do you know, that's just something. You think you met one celebrity, and not to down Akon or anything, but my God, you got MJ taking the picture. That's insane. But he said that he and MJ got really good laughs out of it, that it was hilarious. But yeah, I just wanted to end it on a nice note. Oh wait, you didn't speak on how MJ spoke, and literally how he acquired the Sony music catalog, and the media put everything against him. Right to I'm not quite sure what you mean on that, Jay, because I did. He bid against it. I thought I did cover how he acquired. You said I didn't speak on how MJ acquired it. Now, it could be some, like I say, it is going to have to be a part 2 to this. But I felt that I did cover that. I mean, he had to bid, and he when he did bid, he went against some very other, big heavy hitters. It was a year or 2 before he actually legally, it was settled that he had acquired it. And I did say it was a smear campaign, so I don't really know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of negative press. I mean, I could get into each, about his scan, about this and that. But I mean, I think a lot of people know. He spoke upon the media putting the public against him. Well, I'll have to look at it again, Jay, because what I saw, what I saw, he spoke on his feelings about, um, Tommy Matola, about how he felt Sony did their artists, black artists especially, and how he had not been done right. What I'll have to do, like I say, it'll probably be a part two to this, but I personally felt I did it justice in that, like I say, it's a lot of stuff that was covered. But in general, like I said, it wasn't until after MJ had acquired the ATV catalog that it was like a smear campaign by the media against him. After that, prior to Thriller, he was the golden boy. Everybody loved MJ, and then after that, it was a lot of negative press put out against him. You need wait. Insta probably. That was like 50 minutes though. Yeah, well, what I saw, like I said, if you're talking about the clip that you had me to check out, and that, like I said, that was a good clip. That was an excellent clip. But MJ had also did another speech where he spoke out. And he was saying how he just had like one more album. All he needed was like one more album. And he had a lot of music that he had wrote years ago. So he wasn't really worried about that. But that was a separate interview. But for the one that you, and it wasn't really an interview, it was more like MJ speaking to the press. But for the one that you're speaking about, what I saw was, I know Al Sharpton, a lot of others stood up, they spoke, and when MJ spoke, what I saw covered, and I'll look again, but what I saw covered was him, he spoke out against Tommy Matola, spoke out about how Sony had did their artists and how he felt himself that, he had not been done right. And as we know, his 2001 album, a lot of that stuff was not given the ability to do as well as it could have because of all the negative press. This one you're covering is when he was on stage. Right, well, I'm doing like a combination of that. I'm not just doing, I don't know. Well, no, you should have heard that at the beginning. I'm doing the one that you spoke of, but that to me is in a combination because he actually went more in depth when he was on stage. And he just was talking about that. He spoke about it at that conference, I guess it was, with Al Sharpton. He spoke about it, but in my opinion, he went more in depth on that when he was on stage. But for you guys, I am, like I said, when I do a part two, or I might just put the links. I think I will do that. So it'll take me a little bit to actually fully have this uploaded because I'm going to add the links to the speeches that we're speaking of. One was the 2006 speech that Jay sent me, excellent speech that he did at headquarters at NAN, I think it was, but I know it was the NAACP. A lot of them, Al Sharpton and whatnot, and MJ was speaking on that. But then there's another speech, which I don't have the details in front of me, but it was another speech that MJ gave. And he spoke about the same of what he spoke about at that with Al Sharpton, but then he, in my opinion, really went in depth when he was on stage, and he just, in my opinion, told it like it was. He was more than grimy though. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. He was with Al, cause man. Oh wow! Okay, I gotta look at that again, Jay. I have to look at that again because what I saw, he spoke. It was not that quick, but semi-quick, and then they showed him exit the podium. Right. Okay. Yeah. So he did speak about, or was that on stage, Jay? This stuff is starting to get mixed up to me. Was that with the Al Sharpton, or was that? I thought he made that statement when he was on stage where he talked about Mariah Carey, and I don't want to get too whatever in that because people can actually, like I say, do their research and whatnot. But when he was on stage by himself and he talked about, his feelings toward Tommy Matola, and he talked about Mariah Carey. For you guys that don't know, Mariah Carey was married to Tommy Matola for a number of years at the very beginning of her career, and she, to this day, doesn't have real good sentiments about Matola and her time married to him. But I thought he didn't do that at the uh, oh, hey Cedric, what's up? Shout out to Ced. Wait, but I'm going back to you, Jay. Well, wait. You say, but yeah, on stage, she said that Tommy was funny. Mariah Carey's Lamont. This is when he spoke about the Mariah Carey thing. He did, but he also talked about Sony. I gotta look at this stuff again, Jay, because this is, like I said, this is deep. This rabbit hole goes deep. And I watched the video that you sent. I watched that twice. I watched the one that was on stage. I wanted to combine the two, and then there was other stuff that was popping up too that kind of made it go further and further. But some of that I thought he did when he was on stage. He talked about the Mariah thing, but he also talked a lot about, like you said, how he had been smeared. But that was when he was on stage, not when he was with Al Sharpton. I thought, I don't know. On Insta. Okay, well, I'm not that active on Insta. I'm not gonna lie. If you want to, you can. Because then I'll look it on there. I'll make sure I check it out on there. I'm not real active on there, but I'm getting more active, you guys, because I want you guys to support me as well. I am Lilah Michelle on Instagram. But yeah, you can definitely do that. Oh well, I think TikTok is only people that could DM me as people that I follow back. I don't even know what your thing would be, but I would have to follow you to get a follow back. So if you wanted, either way, it could be TikTok or it could be Instagram. As long as I know you're doing that, then I'll make sure that I look out for it, whether it's on Instagram. If it's on TikTok, I'm not trying to sound all extra, you guys. I swear to God, I'm not. But if it's on TikTok, I do get a lot of follows, so you might follow me and I might not know that you followed me. If you do on Instagram, I have less people following me on Instagram, then I will be able to see if it says J Too Savvy and be able to follow you back. Okay, it's cool. Yep, like you say, yeah, it's cool. So sounds good. But I had so much fun with you guys. Like I say, there's so much. Thank you so much, Jay, for being on here. I'm sorry, y'all. What the hell? Sorry, y'all. Some hair on my. I couldn't get it off. And I'm sweating on. But anyway, this fluorescent light has me. But I had so much fun with you guys. Shouts out to Seds. Shouts out, of course, to Jay. And so, okay, I'm gonna look back once this live processes. I'm gonna look back. I'm gonna look that up. I'll look out for that. Okay, I'll remember. At least I'll remember the numbers at the end. But even still, I'll look back. Sounds good, Jay. So thank you guys so much. Shouts out to Jay especially, but to everyone who helped to make this live, to Archangel Raphael, to Sad who dropped in. Thank you guys so much for spending your Friday night with me. I had so much fun, diving into this. And boy, just like I say, it's a lot to this. 2 separate events. No, I didn't, Jay. I did and I didn't. If you actually listened to the very beginning of this live, I said that I'm actually going to talk about 2. I said I'm going to talk about 2 events. One is one that you sent me, and then another one is one where MJ did that like alone on stage or something like that, which I actually need more detail. So I didn't, some of the information, because some of it it was repetitive, because in my opinion, he talked on stage at the podium with Al Sharpton, with some others, but in my opinion, he got more in depth when it was just him on the stage, free to talk. He talked about Mariah, he got more into Sony, he got more into Matola, and more into him as an artist, and one more album and unreleased music. So some of it's a little, but this isn't just about that one 2006 speech that he made. This is about, it is, but it also covers what he did on stage. So I didn't actually get that wrong. Okay. Yep. So again, my Instagram for you guys is I am Lilah Michelle. It's all together. And then you guys can also check me out on TikTok while it's still up. Before they close the sucker down, check me out. I'm on there as well. And then you guys can always check out my website. Well, what you wrote said 2006, Jay. Okay, what you said was 2000. If you go back to the comment that you left that I pinned, it said 2006. It didn't say 2002. So I don't know. Yeah, you said what you wrote. Maybe you meant to write 2002, but you wrote 2006. But I don't want to go back and forth like this on here. Anyway, but thanks you guys so much. Let me get on here. Let me press escape for a quick second. If you guys click out, it's all good, but just to give you guys a quick, like I say, check me out on TikTok. You guys can also check me out, check out my website, LilahMichelle.com, and like I say, you guys can always scroll through the menu bar here, but then you can also check out my merch as well. Go to Shop All MJ stuff, as well as other entertainment content related merchandise. And then there are my icons you guys could click on. And then if you guys want to contact me, you could click contact. Another way that you guys can, or you could do this, Jay. You could do that, or you could go, and I was going to say this too for you guys, LilahMichelle3@gmail.com. I check it all the time. That's another way to get in contact with me if you guys want to. Or you guys can fill this out. It will go right to the LilahMichelle@gmail. And then, again, if you guys just want to subscribe and just know whenever something new is uploaded, you guys can do it that way too. So, again, I had so much fun, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.